When I heard it, I'm just looking. It was unbelievable, but I was there, and I know for a fact none of that happened. How they just explained it, but my truth will get out here, and I hope everybody understand. That's really it. I can't even say too much right now.
You think you know someone, but sometimes their name only surfaces when tragedy strikes. Carlos Losway is one of those names. Over the last few months, his name has been tied to a case that shook Chicago, the death of Romeca Meeks Blackman. And even though he hasn't been charged with crime, every detail circulating online, every social media post, every whispered account seems to revolve around him. So, let's dive into the story of Carlos Losway, his connections, and the whirlwind surrounding him. And hey, if you care about justice, leave a comment, share this video, subscribe to Mystoracrimes, and click the bell icon, because cases like this don't stay alive unless we keep talking about them. Carlos Losway is, according to multiple social reports, the father of Romeca Meeks Blackman's son. He is also reportedly the father of another child with Quadaja Holly Johnson, the woman who was later charged with the murder of Meeks Blackman. Social media accounts and gossip sites paint a picture of a man caught between two worlds, two women, two children, and a confrontation that ended in tragedy. While official reports from news outlets like ABC 7 Chicago and Fox 32 focus on the shooter and the victim, social media users point away as the man at the center of the storm, the person both women were connected to, and perhaps the catalyst for the fatal encounter. It's important to understand that nothing from police records confirms Carlos Losway was holding or restraining Meeks Blackman. Yet, viral posts, eyewitness accounts, and gossip style reporting allege that he may have been present during the confrontation, and even physically involved. One report claims that in the chaotic moments outside the school, Way allegedly placed Meeks Blackman in a headlock before the fatal shot was fired. Social media users shared that he later posted, "Worst day of my life," online, a fleeting expression of anguish that quickly became a focal point for public scrutiny. The truth is, we don't have verification of these actions, no police statement, no court filing, but the chatter alone has kept his name alive in this story, forcing us to examine how presence and influence, even without charges, shape perception in criminal cases. Carlos Losway's alleged involvement raises questions about accountability and the ripple effects of relationships. While the woman who pulled the trigger, Quadaja Johnson, was officially charged with first-degree murder in December 2025, the online narrative constantly circles Way. Did his presence escalate the situation? Was he a bystander, a mediator, or something else? Every post, comment, and clip shared online seems to ask the same thing. What role did he really play in the moments leading to Meeks Blackman's death? And as public outrage builds, it is clear that perception can sometimes feel as heavy as legal culpability. The tension surrounding Carlos Losway isn't just about what happened that morning. It's about what people believe he did, what he represented to everyone involved, and the online storm that followed. Social media platforms exploded with speculation. Every video clip, every blurred image of the confrontation, every secondhand account was dissected, shared, and argued over. People began to paint him as a man at the center of a dangerous triangle, the uncharged figure whose very presence seemed to ignite conflict. And the truth? The truth is complicated. Verified sources never formally linked him to any crime. Yet, public perception turned him into a pivotal character in a story where he had no official charges. A living example of how social narrative can shape reality. Friends, neighbors, and strangers alike began commenting on posts, calling out his alleged actions or criticizing his lack of intervention. One viral post claimed that he showed up at the school that morning, and while the altercation unfolded, he allegedly struggled to calm things down. Others suggested he did nothing, that he was a passive bystander while chaos erupted. Social media accounts reference him as a father trapped between two women, both carrying the weight of their relationships with him, and the tragic outcome now hanging over his name. It was a storm he didn't publicly respond to, at least not in verified channels. Even more intriguing is how quickly he became the subject of social guilt tripping. Comments like, "If you were really a man, this wouldn't have happened," and "all this chaos because of you" flooded feeds. Posts about his worst day of my life comment became meme fodder, dissected as an admission of guilt by some, a grief-stricken cry by others. There's no way to know which it was. But the story around him grew. In the absence of charges, every gesture, every post, every public silence became loaded with meaning. It's a reminder that in true crime, perception often rivals proof. As the investigation proceeded, the legal focus stayed on Quadaja Johnson, the woman charged with first-degree murder. She faced the courtroom lawyers and the weight of evidence against her. But Carlos Losway remained in the background, uncharged, yet unavoidable in the public imagination. He was a man whose relationships intersected tragically, whose presence was cited in eyewitness accounts, whose name was mentioned in almost every viral recounting of that fateful morning. He became a case study of how someone can be central to a narrative without ever being legally culpable, and how human curiosity can turn speculation into almost a character of its own. The twist in Carlos Losway's story isn't a revelation from police files or courtroom drama. It's in a court of public opinion. While he remains uncharged, social media users have built an entire narrative around his alleged actions. Some claim that his presence escalated the conflict. Others defend him as a grieving father caught in a nightmare. Every post, every comment, every shared clip keeps him at the center of the story. He exists in a gray zone, too close to the tragedy to be ignored, too distant to face legal consequences. That tension is what makes a story so chilling and so real. Think about it. A man's name becomes synonymous with a tragedy without an arrest, without an indictment. The alleged headlock, the viral post, the presence at the scene, these fragments, unverified yet repeated online, have cemented him in the narrative. People project onto him. They debate his morality, his responsibility, and even his character. And while the legal system moves methodically with Johnson's case, the online world has already judged him, assigned him a role, and questioned his humanity. It forces us to consider deeper psychological questions. What does it mean to be involved in a crime socially or emotionally, but not legally? Can public opinion ever be fair when the full picture isn't known? And how does social media, with its constant feed of speculation and outrage, transform bystanders into characters in a story they didn't ask to be part of? Carlos Losway's name has become a symbol of lost control, of misjudged influence, and the messy overlap between personal relationships and tragedy. In reflecting on his story, you also have to ask, how would you react if your personal life suddenly became headline news? If every comment online turned into speculation about your character? Would silence be interpreted as guilt or strength? Would speaking up make you seem defensive or vulnerable? Carlos Losway's situation illustrates how real life and perception can collide, creating a narrative that may never fully align with legal facts. Now, as we think about all this, I want you to pause and reflect. What responsibility do we, as observers, hold when we consume stories like this? How quickly do we judge someone based on rumors or fragmented social media posts? And most importantly, how do we separate verified fact from the noise, from the gossip, speculation, and assumptions that often surround tragic events? If you're intrigued, if you care about understanding the human side behind the headlines, leave a comment with your thoughts on Carlos Losway's role. Share this video with someone who needs to see the layers behind true crime. Subscribe to Mystoracrimes so we can continue exploring stories like this together. And don't forget to hit the bell icon. Every alert brings you closer to the truth that's often buried beneath the surface. Because in cases like this, the story isn't just about crime. It's about perception, influence, and the very human complexities that make tragedy feel so much larger than any one individual.